Hello, welcome to Chicago Reacts. I am Kelsey. I am a digital artist and voiceover actor in Chicago, Illinois. And today I will be reacting to Three Kingdoms by OverSimplified. And this was suggested by Joey Badass. It's Joey with 3 Y's. Joey. Thank you, Joey. All right, be sure to like and subscribe for more content just like this. Let's see how we can oversimplify Three Kingdoms.
This video was made possible by Total War Three Kingdoms, the brand new strategy game from the multi-award-winning Total War series. Support my channel by using the link in the description down below to buy the game on Steam. Also, new merch available now in the store, including a mystery new character pin. I wonder who it could be.
Who can it be
Ancient
now?
China. The sun is shining.
Ooh, a history lesson.
The birds are singing. The children are playing in the village square. What a wonderful time to be alive. Hey, the Yellow River flooded again and destroyed all your crops.
No.
And also we're being raided by nomadic tribesmen.
No.
And also
the guy jumping on the people.
History may be entirely mythical, meaning you may not even exist. Well, that would certainly explain the laser eyes.
That'll
Chinese
happen.
civilization began around the year 2000 BC when the possibly mythical Xia dynasty was formed.
Possibly
Throughout
mythical.
China's history, dynasties would
fun.
usually rise up with a powerful leader who worked for the good of the people. But over time, the leaders would become more corrupt and self-serving. Someone would inevitably build a lake of alcohol, and the angry populace would overthrow them, giving way for a new dynasty to rise. Following
that
this
just
pattern,
how it
the
works?
Xia dynasty was replaced by the Shang, who liked bronze and writing, but then the leaders got corrupt, and were replaced by the Zhou, who liked iron and philosophy. But that one sort of just fell apart, and was replaced by the Qin, who liked building walls and people made out of rock. But they were pretty tyrannical from the start, and were quickly replaced by the Han, who liked creating new trade routes and getting in touch with their emotions. In line with this pattern, the Han dynasty came about under the strong and popular leadership of Emperor Gaozu. The dynasty remained firmly in place for over 4 centuries and was considered a golden age in Chinese history, developing new forms of art, political thinking, technology. Oh, looks like all the leaders got corrupt. See, probably the biggest problem in ancient China's political system that allowed so much corruption to come about all the time was a little something called court culture. Let me explain. Imagine for me, if you will, that you are the son of the Chinese emperor. Hooray! Now, apart from how weird it is that you have a ton of stepmoms and many of them would like to kill you, and also all of your friends are middle-aged dudes with no dongs, life's pretty alright. One day, your father says, "Son, I know our relationship hasn't been the best, and I've never said this before, but I just want to let you know that I love you." Oh no, I'm having a heart attack!
Hate to
Look at
see
you.
it.
Now you're the emperor. I'm so proud of you. But wait, you are but a child and have no idea how to rule over a massive empire. Fret not, because just about everyone in your court wants to help you out with that. Hey man, remember me? I'm your mom's bro. Anyway, I heard you needed someone to rule over China for you. I mean, to help you rule China. So hey, here's a popsicle. I hope we can get along. No way, man. We've been your friends and your personal caretakers your whole life. And even though we may have no dongs, I think you should give us all the power to rule China.
We do have big hearts.
I mean, help you rule China. So who will you be influenced by? Your scheming uncle or your loyal eunuchs? And towards the end of the Han dynasty, a string of child emperors allowed more and more power to fall into the hands of the eunuchs. Oh no, now they're scheming too. They began handing out government jobs for bribes, heavily taxing the poor for their own wealth. And while you're sitting there eating your popsicle, everyone in your court is literally murdering each other to try and consolidate more power and riches for themselves. While all the peasants are outside like, "Hey, did you guys know there's been a drought out here for 2 years?"
Squirrel.
Guys, obviously the people weren't too happy
Too
that
busy
while they were
fighting
struggling to survive,
and
they were
eating
also being heavily
popsicles.
taxed so that the eunuch faction could all have rockin' mansions, complete with swimming pools and Alexas. So finally, when a self-proclaimed Taoist
just a
wizard
lady
came
in a
along
stand.
and was like, "You know whose fault it is that we're all out here starving? It's the emperor and his posse. They've lost their mandate from heaven, and the imperial family must be destroyed with an unrelenting, furious wrath."
Get
Also,
'em.
check this out. Huh? Can you tell what it is yet? Ta-da! It's a little kitty cat. Look at her little ears. The people loved his political philosophy. He promised them land reforms, and his followers grew in number. They began arming themselves and wearing yellow turbans. And they also developed a really catchy slogan. In the year 184, the Yellow Turban Rebellion broke out across China, with millions rising up against the Han Dynasty, and the imperial government in the capital city freaked out. With all their internal bickering, they were completely unprepared and unable to deal with such a huge rebellion. So they were forced to call on independent warlords from across the empire to help them deal with this situation. Some big names took part in the fighting. I'm talking the likes of the great Cao Cao, the tyrannical Dong Zhou, Liu Bei, Sun Jian, and many other Chinese names I am definitely not pronouncing correctly. These warlords crushed the rebellion in their own respective regions, and with casualties
That's what
in
counts.
the millions, the Han Dynasty breathed a huge sigh of relief. But what they didn't realize is that by relying on all the warlords and their armies, they had essentially diminished their own central control over the empire. And many of the warlords now held the power to act almost completely independently and rule over their own local regions themselves. Back in the capital, the emperor and his son were having a little chat. Listen, I know we've had our ups and downs, and I spend all of my time with your many smoking hot stepmoms instead of you. But what say you and I finally go on a little fishing trip together this weekend? Oh no, I'm having a stroke! And yet another child emperor was on the throne. This time, however, instead of the eunuch faction gaining even more power, this child emperor's uncle became his regent, who also just so happened to be the head of the imperial army, Ho Jun. Man, I hate those sneaky, lying, cheating eunuchs. Hey, Warlord Yuan Shao.
Big words.
What should we do? Kill them all.
No!
Right on. You can't kill the eunuchs. They're a vital part of this empire's governance. And also, they paid me a lot of money to say that about them. Oh, come on! No. So He Jin and Yuan Shao decided the empress may need more convincing. And so they called in an infamous, feared, tyrannical, overweight warlord from the northwest to help convince her. That man was Dong Zhuo. And he set out for the capital city
Dong
with
Zhuo, I
his
like
army.
your beard.
Hey guys, I heard a rumor that He Jin was planning on killing us. Then why don't we kill him first? And so it was.
All right,
they lured him to
eunuchs.
the palace with a forged letter from his sister,
I need your
and when he
help with
got
something
there,
unspecified.
they lobbed off his head.
I'm gonna read the rest of that letter. Oh, see ya. I
Killed
love their
them
little
all.
angry
Imperial
eyebrows.
forces stormed the
Oh,
palace,
no!
and the
There go the
eunuchs
eunuchs.
were all massacred. The peasants, who were still suffering from drought and starvation, saw what was going on and began to riot. The emperor and his brother were forced to
Push
flee
the
the
trash
city, which was
over.
now in flames. And the feared, nasty, tyrannical,
Beard
bloated
boy.
Dong Zhuo had just arrived. He found the emperor and his brother wandering
Boys
the
are
hills
back in
outside of the
town.
city and was understandably confused. So he scooped up the emperor, went to the capital and was like, "Hey
Scooped
guys,
up the
what's up? I
emperor.
see the capital is on fire. Also, I'm here with my army and I have the emperor with me." Wait a minute. The capital is on fire. I'm here with my army, and I have the emperor. Screw you guys. I'm in charge. So now Dong Zhuo ruled over the Han Dynasty as the emperor's regent. His first act was to say to the emperor, "Hey man, no hard feelings, but I like your little brother better. So I'm actually making him emperor instead of you. So you're free to go do whatever you want."
Honestly, though, good for that kid.
Actually,
Unless.
yeah. That feels better.
Can't
Dong
catch a
Zhuo
break.
ruled with an iron fist, and he did whatever the flip he wanted. He made absolute decisions
What's up,
himself,
nerds?
showing no regard for the monarchy. He had his opponents or those who disagreed with him killed. He broke protocol, doing things like keeping his sword when approaching the emperor,
A lot of.
wearing shoes in the court,
Oh, not Crocs.
sleeping in the emperor's bed. And worst of all, he would walk in the presence of the emperor. You were meant to trot. The other warlords around the empire hated him, and so they said, something
There's a lot
needs
of
to be
spite
done
in
about
that
this
big
guy.
beard.
What say we form a coalition and oust him? And it was agreed. Warlords from across China, their armies amounting to 100,000 men, allied together against the tyranny of Dong Zhuo. Yuan Shao's coalition
Look out,
consisted
Dong
of
Zhuo.
some of the nation's most capable leaders, including his half-brother Yuan Shu, the great Cao Cao, and Sun Jian. But Dong Zhuo had an ace up his sleeve. His protege and adopted son, one of the most skilled and feared warriors in
His
all of
little
China.
eyebrows.
It's Lu Bu. This guy
What
was
up,
a
Lu
beast of
Bu?
a man. He never lost a duel, and no other warlord dared challenge him to one. He
The
was also
dramatic
famous
zoom.
for betraying just about every warlord he ever fought for, something that Dong Zhuo didn't seem too concerned about. The coalition attacked Dong Zhuo in Luoyang,
Cool.
and in particular, Sun Jian's forces inflicted a heavy defeat against him, and he was forced to flee to the city of Chang'an. After this initial success, however, the war entered into a stalemate. The warlords in the coalition realized it was going nowhere, and also they all secretly hated each other. So they all went home. Dong Zhuo
I hate
was
working
safe
with these people.
until legend has it that a government official in Chang'an had a daughter who was hot, super hot. He invited Lu Bu to his home and promised Lu Bu that someday he could marry his daughter.
Now kiss.
Then he invited Dong Zhuo to his house and did the exact same thing.
No,
Dong Zhuo was so
can't
smitten
do
he
that.
insisted on taking her as his concubine immediately. And when Lu Bu heard the news, he was pretty unhappy. Hey
Yeah.
man, aren't you worried that you stole Lu Bu's girl and betrayal is like his personal hobby? Lu Bu? Betray me? No way, man. Never gonna happen. Ah, crap. Lu Bu, along with other government officials, assassinated the tyrannical Dong Zhuo. Then they left his body burning in the streets. Some sources say he was so fat and oily, he kept on burning for days. Nice. So with Dong Zhuo dead, and the power of the Han government essentially decimated,
Like the
China was
uncertain
left with
marshmallow.
a huge power gap, and a ton of warlords who all slept soundly at night dreaming of being the one to fill it. Here we enter into a crazy and chaotic period of civil war all across China, with so many people,
go.
so much betrayal, so much intricacy, it makes Game of Thrones look like a Dr. Seuss publication. But just to give you an idea of how
Don't be shy. Someone make an entire Game of Thrones series with like Game of Thrones level production about the history of China. Or it seems just this one period of civil war with this one dynasty, because that'd go forever. That'd be like Doctor Who.
how crazy and chaotic it was, see if you're able to keep up with this. Are you ready? Here we go. Here's a rough map of the warlords throughout the Han Dynasty at the
Cool.
time. Half-brothers Yuan Shao and Yuan Shu were both in a power
Aw,
struggle for who
bro.
would become the figurehead of
Oh,
their family.
no.
Yuan Shu made alliances with warlords
not
in the
cute,
north,
apparently.
along with Sun Jian, the guy who defeated Dong Zhou. Yuan Shao also made alliances with Liu Biao in the south and Cao Cao, who was an amazing strategist and general. All of these
Talking a
warlords
lot about
began
Cao
fighting
Cao.
each other. Cao Cao
want-
began building his own strength by subjugating nearby remnants of the Yellow Turban Rebellion into
Smart
his
guy.
own forces. Down south, things weren't going so well for Sun Jian, as he was killed in an ambush. So Sun Ce took over. Then Yuan Shu got pushed back to the river Huai, so he ordered Sun Ce to take the territory of warlord Lu Kang. Then Sun Ce went off to capture territories in the east for himself. Cao Cao's family lived in this province over here. One day, they were murdered. Oh no!
No.
Cao Cao held the province's governor
no.
responsible, and so he launched a cruel invasion in which he pillaged cities and murdered over 100,000 civilians. The
Oh
governor
my.
sent out a call for help, and a very popular,
Cao Cao
likable
is
warlord
smart
by the name
and
of Liu Bei
mean.
came to his aid. However, while Cao Cao was away fighting, a rebellion was staged against him in his home province by none other than it's Lu Bu.
Oh,
Cao Cao
he's
rushed home and
back.
defeated Lu Bu, who fled to the east, which by now had been inherited by Liu Bei. Then Lu Bu, surprise, surprise, launched a rebellion against Liu Bei, who fled to Cao Cao.
It's his
Together,
thing.
Cao Cao
Are
and
you
Liu
guys
Bei would go on
surprised
to
at this
invade
point?
and defeat Lu Bu. Lu Bu offered to join Cao Cao, and Cao Cao considered the offer, but his advisors were like, "No way, man! This
believe
guy's
him?
betrayed literally everyone he ever worked for." And so Boo-hoo, Lu Bu was executed. Next,
Oh,
Cao Cao
no,
convinced the
I
emperor
wanted to
move
see
in with
more of
him.
what he
Now
does.
He's in
He's
control of the Han
fun.
government, something that made his allies very jealous. Yuan Shu, out of nowhere, decides to declare himself emperor of the new Zhong dynasty.
Cool.
Nobody liked that. His allies cut ties with him. The imperial government ordered everyone to kill him. He tried to flee to his brother
You
Yuan
can't-
Shao, but died of illness
You know, you can't just randomly declare yourself emperor anymore. That just doesn't fly. It would make things more interesting, though.
on the way. Sun Ce took over his territory and then
I take that back. I don't want that. That sounds awful.
got assassinated. So his brother, Sun Chen, took over. Liu Bei turned on Cao Cao, but got obliterated and was forced to flee south. Yuan Shao finally defeated the warlord to his north and could now focus south. He declared war on his ally Cao Cao, but was defeated at the Battle of Guandu. Cao Cao has now united the north, and he turned his attention
Ooh.
to the south. In particular, Liu
Cao
Biao's
Cao.
province was becoming a
Getting
powerful
it done.
threat, so Cao Cao attacked him. Liu Bei was now fighting for Liu Biao, and he held Cao Cao off for a while. But then Liu Biao died, and his son took over and immediately surrendered to Cao Cao. Liu Bei was horrified, and he fled southward to try and maintain control of the province. Cao Cao was on an absolute roll, and it looked like he would be the one to take control of China. He began making plans to
Except-
attack both Liu Bei and Sun Qian, and the two of them, seeing where things were headed, met up and decided to form an alliance.
Oh,
Now I know that was a lot to take in, but all you really need to know at this point is that this guy is on his way to taking over everything, and he's about to throw his full weight at the southern warlords. These two have one chance, one battle, to prevent him from invading this.
I really like the character design of all these guys. I hope that they're based off of like actual portraits of them. That would be really, really neat and a very nice attention to detail.
South. And that battle was the famous Battle of Red Cliffs. To take
Ooh.
the South, Cao Cao would need to control
a
and
dope
cross the
name for a
mighty
battle.
Yangtze River. He had over 200,000 men to face against Liu Bei and Sun Qian's combined force of 50,000. How would they stand a chance when they were so outnumbered? Legend says most of Sun Qian's advisors pleaded with him to surrender, but then he smashed up a table and they all backed down. Luckily, Cao Cao's forces were ravaged by disease and exhaustion,
Oh, no.
and his northern soldiers weren't too comfortable on ships. So
Oh.
when Cao Cao sailed down the river and the two sides met for an initial skirmish at Wulin, Cao Cao was unable to inflict a defeat against the allies. Then one of Sun
Ooh.
Qian's men came up with a very sneaky plan.
Oh,
He
how
sent
the
Cao Cao a letter
turntables.
pretending that he and others
Hey,
wanted to
mate.
defect to his side and offered to bring him some of Liu Bei and Sun Qian's finest ships.
Ship
Little did
emoji.
Cao Cao
And
know,
Smash
however,
Bros.
that those ships were full of flammable
That's what
reeds.
did
As
it.
they approached his fleet, they were set alight and destroyed his ships and camp. Seeing the situation as
Got him,
hopeless, Cao Cao
bamboozled.
ordered a difficult retreat through the rain and marshlands. during which more of his men fell to illness and disease.
Oh.
The underdogs had won,
Rip.
and Cao Cao would never again have another chance to take the south. Following that, the three warlords took some time to finish off some smaller competitors in their own regions, and by the year 214, China looked a little bit like this. Cao Cao continued to try to penetrate the southern regions, but had no success, and even lost the Hanzhong region to Liu Bei in 217. The former allies eventually fell out over who should own this territory here, with Sun Qian coming out on top. In 220, Cao Cao died of a head disease, and was replaced by his son, Cao.
What's a head disease? I feel like that could be so many things. What is it? Like, did he have like a brain tumor? Did he have like a really, really, really bad lice? What is a head disease?
Cao Pi convinced the Emperor of Han to abdicate, and then proclaimed himself the Emperor of the new state of Wei. Liu Bei followed suit, declaring himself the true Emperor of Shu Han. And a few years later, Sun Qian joined in the fun and declared himself Emperor of Wu. And so now you have a number of kingdoms in China. How many? Count them. 1, 2, 3. 3 kingdoms. Except, actually, they weren't kingdoms, they were dynasties. And when the 3 kingdoms finally formed, not a whole lot happened. For the next 3 decades, they continued to engage in combat, but it almost always ended in stalemate, and nobody really got anywhere. So how did it all end? Did Cao Cao's descendants eventually realize his dream of unifying China? Not quite. Instead, the 3 kingdoms became victims of the usual problems that plagued Chinese dynasties. In Wu, Sun Qian's descendant became a tyrant, who was more interested in spending time with his concubines than governing. In Shu Han, a powerful, corrupt, eunuch faction rose up, and by now we all know how that ends. And in Wei, a string of young emperors gave way for a powerful family, the Sima clan, to take control of the dynasty's government. This Sima clan recognized the weak state Shu and Wu had been reduced to, and so they began making plans. I've just received this letter that says Wei is planning to attack us. Should we make preparations for war? Nah, it's probably nothing to worry about. Let's do absolutely nothing.
Just chill out.
Sounds
what
good to me.
Could
Wei
happen?
launched a full-scale
What's the
invasion
worst that could
into
happen?
Shu, which fell within a year. Then Sima Yan forced the Wei emperor to abdicate and proclaimed himself emperor of the new Jin dynasty. In the year 279, Jin launched an invasion of Wu and finally unified China in the year 280. The pattern of rising and falling dynasties, division and reunification would continue in China for centuries to come. Right now you may be asking yourself, but wait a minute, what would have happened if Cao Cao had his way and unified China? Or what if Lu Bu never assassinated Dong Zhou and he continued to rule over the Han dynasty? What about if one of these smaller warlords had risen to the top? Dang it, what if I want to be a warlord during the downfall of the Han dynasty? Whoa, partner, calm down, because now you can. This video was brought to you by Total War
It's
Three
an
Kingdoms, a brand new strategy game that combines a gripping turn-based campaign of empire building,
Cool that there's a game
statecraft, and
about
conquest,
this, though.
with stunning real-time battles. Choose from a cast
Graphics
of
look really
legendary
neat.
warlords and conquer the realm. Unite China under your rule. Forge the next great dynasty and build a legacy that will last through the ages. Recruit heroic characters to aid your cause and dominate your enemies on military, technological, political, and economic fronts. Will you build powerful friendships, form brotherly alliances, and earn the respect of your many foes? Or would you rather commit acts of treachery, inflict heart-wrenching betrayals, and become a master of grand political intrigue? I bet you would.
That sounds more fun
yet to be written.
if it's fake.
But one thing is certain.
Not in real
Glorious
life. Let's be
conquest
nice. Life is
awaits.
hard.
Buy the game on Steam using my link in the description down below. It would also support my
Neat.
channel and my work massively. So thank you.
Cool. Interesting little history lesson about China, or part of China's history. That's super cool. The style it was done in kind of reminds me of the history of the entire world video, but like if you zoomed in on it. So that's very fun. I love that. And cool that there's a game like based on, I don't know how much of it is like accurate, but like it's really cool that there's a game based on like historical things. I always think that stuff is so neat. Cool. Very nice. Thank you for the suggestion. Joey. Is it Joey? Yeah, Joey Badass. Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content like this, and we will see you next time.